Hello and welcome everybody to week 1 of Big Brother 27 here at Reality After Show. I'm your host, Bobby Goodsby, joined as always by my good friend, Survivor 47s?
There you go.
Gabe Ortis. Gabe, how you doing, bud?
Every month it feels like me and my other 47ers are becoming more and more of has-beens with season 49 on the horizon. I'm really going to be a geriatric survivor.
I know you're an old vet at this point, bud.
Not quite, but I'm getting there. I'd say I'm getting there. It feels good though. I'm not gonna lie. It feels good. I'm happy to just wag my finger at the whole next generation coming after me.
Yeah, now you can say back in my day.
Yes,
You're one of those.
Wait until after 50.
So, okay, let's talk about this. So, Gabe, you have never watched Big Brother before. You've been a Survivor purist through and through. Now you decided to take on the challenge this season and come watch the season with me and podcast about it. What are your thoughts on this show as a Big Brother virgin?
Yeah, man. So this is, as you said, I've seen 4 episodes of Big Brother in my entire life, and it's episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of BB27. It's fucking weird, man. This show is weird. And when they delve into like the genuine strategic conversations, I think the show is really captivating. I think it's great for a lot of the reasons that Survivor is great to watch. But there is so much fluff in between that in the episodes. The live feed seemed to be a whole different beast that I'm also kind of, trying to figure out the temperature on. But there is so much fluff. Like for tonight's episode, I had some food dropped off to the studio, and I once I get up, the dude, I'm blanking on his name right now, he's like doing his laundry in the Big Brother house. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go grab this food real quick. And then I come back with my food, and the dude is still doing laundry. And I'm like, what? I got up for like 4 minutes. How is this segment this long? This is crazy. And surely I was like, surely something's happening. Like the laundry machine is beeping, and there's gonna be like a clue or an advantage or like something. And then the scene just ends, and then they go to the next thing, and I'm like, bro just couldn't figure out how to work a washing machine. That's all this was. Like this show's getting 90-minute episodes. Are you kidding me? This should be a 45-minute episode, not a 90-minute episode. They should be looking at how to cut some of this out. But when the show gets good, when it has like these 5 to 10-minute stretches that are actually gameplay, and you're seeing these relationships ebb and flow throughout this house, I really enjoy it. I think it's actually quite a good show. And I think the production does the show no favors. And we can get into that later. I don't get that for a second. Who's that for? I mean, who are like the corny, early 2000s sound effects and slow-mo replays when somebody like trips? Like who is that for? Do kids like that? I don't know who that's for.
That's Big Brother through and through. Okay, so just to explain it, Big Brother is a show that doesn't take itself too seriously, right? Like as Survivor with Jeff Probst, like everything's very serious. Like this is the game. We're here to win. Big Brother is about it's kind of on the line of trying to be a family show while also trying to be a competition reality, Love Island, everything mixed into one. But they really like to lean into the goofiness and basically not try to take themselves seriously. So that's why you get this masked figure, throwing weird things at the house guests, or you have people like Adrian messing up with the laundry machine. So I've been watching this show since season 8, and I've gone back and rewatched it, but I started watching my freshman year of college, season 8. We are now on season 27. I've been podcasting about this show for probably 7 or 8 years now at this point, probably longer. So this show, I know it. This is exactly what it's always been.
Okay.
But I feel like over maybe the last, since probably Big Brother 20, it's really kind of leaned into that goofiness where I feel like it definitely used to take itself more seriously, or at least thought of itself as more of a strategic show. And now I feel like they really try to be goofy at times.
Like goofy and more like drama based, and like, I mean, it seems like, this episode, they were pushing the showmances a lot. I don't know if that's always been a part of it or if that's something that's more recent. I feel like it's probably always been a part of it. I mean, Rachel said that she had a big showman's, that she's now, she's now married to that showman's. But it just feels like there's a lot of stuff in between, like the game, and for me, I like the game of it all. I also find the live feeds to be very fascinating.
Yes.
And I think that it's a kind of medium that can only work with a show like Big Brother. Like, 100%. I don't think you could do Survivor live feeds. I don't think it would hit very well. But for Big Brother, it's kind of like the best part of the whole thing, Just like I'll be at work and I'll scroll on my phone and I'll see like, oh, Lauren went over to Morgan and was like, everyone wants me and Zach to get together, but I really don't like this guy that much.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, okay, that didn't make the show, but that's like one of the most interesting conversations I've seen on this cast of people so far. So I really want to get more deep into the live feeds. I find those to be very interesting.
So the live feeds, there's different types of people that watch this show, right? There's people that are the casuals that just watch the program, every single time it comes on 3 times a week. And that's all they stick to. There's people that watch the show and go to Twitter or listen to a podcast. And then there's people that watch the live feeds and people that watch the live feeds religiously. Like there's people that literally will stand or sit here all day for 24 hours watching the live feeds. And some people just watch the live feeds and don't watch the episodes because they don't like the crazy cutesiness of it. Right.
Sure, yeah.
So there are aspects of that. But there's a lot of in-betweeners. Like I probably watch maybe, 4 to 5 hours of live feeds a week, listen to all the podcasts, and then watch the shows.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm on Twitter constantly with this stuff, but I can't devote that much time. There's people that do. I do like to get home from work and turn it on and just kind of do stuff on my computer while watching it in the background. So it's really cool concept. And it's really original for a TV program to do the live feeds. And it's the only one of its kind. And that's what I think drew people into it. And the gameplay will evolve. Like we will get to the point where hopefully there is some very strategic gameplay that you and I both really appreciate. And in the past, there have been seasons that's really what it's focused on. So that's what I think keeps people coming back.
So what about this cast of people has you excited through 1 week of programming?
It's one person, Rachel Riley. Like wow. Rachel, since you're, a virgin with this stuff, right?
Yeah.
With Big Brother. Rachel was on Big Brother 12. She also came back for Big Brother 13 and won Big Brother 13. She met her husband on Big Brother 12, and they both played together. So this is the first time she's playing without her husband there.
Wow. Okay.
So both times she played with him. And I'm really excited to see what Rachel can do on her own, not only because she's my friend and my former podcast co-host, but just because there's some of the greatest lines have come from Rachel Riley on this show.
Okay.
Like floaters grab a life vest. Sorry, my kid keeps wanting to get my attention. Like floaters grab a life vest and, I'm back bitches. Like there's just so many things about her that how she has evolved from when she first started the show to where she is now is night and day.
Yeah. And so that's something that I'm pretty intrigued by is to see like how she's changed now that like she's settled into a marriage and she has kids, right? Like, she seems to be in a dramatically different stage of life now than she was when she first debuted on the show. And even more so when she won the show. So I'm very curious to see how her, and in my prep for watching this season, I did a deep dive onto her and like her kind of story and journey through Big Brother. And I'm very curious to see if she takes a different approach or if she works to get back to that mindset that brought her so much success in her winning season. Like it could go either way. And I don't think we've seen enough to really draw a conclusion of where her head's at.
On her winning season, she got very fortunate that she wasn't the only returnee coming into the house. So there were 6 other returnees. One was a former winner, but they were all couples or a father-daughter. Actually, sorry, 2 were former winners, excuse me. So the thing is, she didn't have as big of a target as these other people who were 1, fan favorites, and 2, former winners. Now, she did have a little bit of a target because I would say for the most part, after season 12, people weren't in love with Rachel. I think people became more in love with Rachel after 13. Myself, when I saw her on 12, I couldn't stand her, right? Like, she was obnoxious, she was loud, she just always seemed to pick fights. She was great TV, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But she was someone I was like, oh my gosh, this chick, like, what is she doing? Season 13 rolls around, and I'm like, oh God, we have to watch this for another summer back to back. Are you kidding me? And then she just played the game differently. Like, you could tell that she learned the game during that off season and learned that she needs to just be more of a people person. And I think that's what she's doing here. Like, we see all the conversations she's having in Big Brother 27, the people she's working with. Look at all the people she was able to get on her side for this vote, because earlier in the week, Amy was as good as dead going into this. And now she had a way big majority lead in this vote tonight. I think Rachel's in a great spot. She does have a target. She's always going to have a target, but I feel like she's built enough goodwill by just getting to know people, and that's what she did well in 13.
And something I found very interesting about this vote was that while Amy was the person whose head was on the line, like, a vote against Amy was really a vote against Rachel.
Yes.
And it seemed to me that is where a lot of hesitancy came from a lot of people for voting for Amy. And that was kind of Zay's pitch, was like, hey, like, why are we all scared to make this move against Rachel? If we get Amy out now, we can go after Rachel next, and we can disarm her tonight by getting out this huge ally, maybe her number one ally in Amy. And I will work to do that if you keep me in this game. But if you take me out of this game, then all we're doing is giving Rachel more power going into the next round that she can snowball every round going forward. And so I found it to be very interesting that in the early days of this game, people are looking at this target that is on Rachel's back, and they're bending the knee to it. They're not shooting for it. They're bending the knee to that target, and they're saying, like, hey, you have a big target on your back for a reason, and I would rather get behind it than be in the way of it. And it's like, there's no real particular rhyme or reason why they decided to go like that. I feel like that's, depending on how you look at it, this might be a harsh word, but I think that's an indictment on the whole cast of people that's playing right now. To me, it seems like no one's really trying to be too antsy in the very beginning of the game, which is to be expected in these kinds of reality competition shows. But, somebody could have thrown their hand up and said, I'll go after the queen here. I don't give a fuck. Let's go take her down. And nobody seemed to want to do that. Why do you think that is?
Well, so this isn't the first time that we've had a single returnee come back on the show, right? So Big Brother 19, we had Paul, who was on Big Brother 18, got to the final two and lost. Then he came back for Big Brother 19, was the only returnee, and he ended up making a friendship alliance that people didn't love, but he basically controlled the house, getting himself all the way to the final two again, only to lose again because people figured out he was playing everyone. Yeah. But there's a precedence for this where whenever there's been a returnee on a single returnee season, that returnee usually does pretty decent. Now, Sari played Big Brother a couple seasons ago, and she wasn't necessarily a returnee from Big Brother, but she's the only one who had reality TV experience in her season. And yes, her son was there, but besides that, she made so many connections. She was able to get really far. So there's really a precedence for when you're a single returnee coming onto a season. One, it always benefits you because you always seem to have safety the first week. Yeah. But two, I feel like people see it as this person's always going to be a bigger target than me. So I should work with them so that if they ever do come after my side, they're going to go after the big target, the big name over here, not me. Sure. Who are they going to give it to? So it benefits people to work with someone like Rachel because one, she's always going to be the loud one in the room trying to, make the moves. And two, they're always going to go after her before they go after you. So why wouldn't you want her on your side?
And we heard a conversation in tonight's episode. I think it was with Vince, who said, oh, so you want me to take you to the end because you don't think anyone's going to vote for you to win? And she's like, absolutely. I'm saying that very loudly. And I think that's part of it, too, that a lot of people would probably be quite comfortable sitting with a Rachel at the end because it's like no one's going to vote for her to win again when they know their vote could change my life with the amount of, $750,000 and, you get the prestige of winning Big Brother. It's like I'd rather be sitting next to her where I can say, look, she's already done this. Let's give it to somebody new. And it seems like she's very cognizant of that as well.
Yeah.
Do I think that's a good strategy for the people who are trying to sit at the end with Rachel? I'm not so sure about that. But for her to put that message out there, I think is fantastic. I think it's a stroke of genius. And also, I think part of it, doesn't really have a whole lot to do with gameplay. She's the coolest kid on the cast. She's the person that everyone's like, oh my God, like I get to play Big Brother with Rachel Riley. Yep. And that means something, regardless of the gameplay implications. And I think a lot of people want to savor that for as long as they can. And I think a lot of people, now that they've been there for like a week or however long it's been, that they're like, oh my God, like not only am I playing with Rachel Riley, but we're kind of friends now. Like, this is so crazy. Yeah. I never thought that this could happen in my wildest dreams. And I don't want to vote her out. I want to keep hanging out with Rachel Riley. I want to keep shooting the shit with Rachel Riley. I want to be able to say at the end of this, like, that was my number one alliance member, was Rachel Riley. And I think Rachel is very cognizant of that as well. And I think she's using it to her advantage in a pretty genius way. And, to our previous conversation of how she's evolved, that's something I don't think she quite had the first 2 times that she's played. That now that's in her toolkit, and I think she's using it.
And I think another small bit of this, which I think it's probably larger than we think, but it's never going to be said on the show by the castmates, is they know that Rachel is a fan favorite. They know Rachel is, probably going to be beloved coming back into this house.
Yeah.
So for a social media and fan perspective, you want to side with the person that America loves, because if you're the one coming after America's favorite, America's going to hate you. Yeah. Right. So there's a little bit of fear that I don't want to be hated by America, because everyone's a hero of their own narrative. I don't want to be hated by America. I want to be one of the favorites. I want to be someone that's loved and talked about in a good way. So I'm going to obviously side with her so that I don't, lose that. Like I don't become the villain of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And, looking at the rest of this cast here, I'm curious your thoughts on it. As somebody who is a Big Brother expert, like, who are the names that are jumping out to you through 1 week of programming?
So there's 2 aspects. There's the side that the show is showing us, and there's the side that we see on the live feeds, right? I think the ones that are really jumping out to me as playing exactly how you should when it comes to Big Brother, because it's always been said on Survivor, it's a sprint. On Big Brother, it's a marathon. Like, you need to sit back, relax, and let other people's drama not get in the way of your game or be involved in any of it. So the people that I think are playing very well are Catherine, Lauren, and then I would even say to an extent, Morgan too. I think Morgan, Catherine, and Lauren are playing great.
It's funny you say those 3, because those 3 seem to be very close as well.
Yes.
Not only do they seem to be playing good games, but everywhere on the live feeds, I see those 3 are always together. They're always talking to each other. Morgan and Catherine, especially, seem to be very, very close.
Yes.
And so I wonder how much of that is intentional, that they're all like, hey, we kind of have the same idea of how we want to approach this. Let's do it together. Or if they're all kind of just naturally finding their way to each other because they're all playing the same way. It's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg,
Yeah.
They all decide, like, let's lay low, let's keep to ourselves, let's, as you said, let everyone else's drama kind of take the spotlight for these early days, and we'll just hang out in the background and be friends. And was that intentional? Did they all decide to do that, or did they all come up with that idea individually, and they look around and the other people who are also doing that are Lauren, Catherine, and Morgan? So I'm very intrigued by that trio. And I don't think that the programming is really showing them as a tight trio, but the live feeds seem to suggest very differently.
I also want to give a little shout out to Riley too, because Riley, from what I've seen, everyone loves him. Like, there's not a single person saying a bad thing about Riley. Now, there was a little drama that, why the fans aren't really in love with him, because there was a drama that came out on Twitter about baby mamas and all that, and him not being there for his kids, what have you, all allegedly. We don't know if it's true, but the person I'm seeing on the show, on the program, like, he's playing a great game. Like, people love him. People want to work with him. And it seems like everywhere I go, people consider Riley as being part of the group in some sense, even on the outside. Because the thing is, on this show, You want to be in an alliance. You want to have something formed that's solidified and true, but you want to be like the sixth person in that alliance early on, right? Until merge, excuse me, I've got Survivor on the brain. Until jury, you want to be the person in the background, not causing waves, just doing enough, giving a little bit of input, but letting other people make the moves. And then come jury, that's when you're like, now I'm taking over. I'm going to run this game.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way.
And I would say of the three people we named, I think Catherine's probably doing the best job at that. I mean, I look at Catherine and like, she's completely purpled in the edit for the show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's non-existent in the show right now. And from, you know, the bits and bobs I've seen on the live feeds, it seems like she is also somebody that nobody is really talking about, kind of in a Riley way. The difference I would say between her and Riley, just from what I'm seeing, is that Riley seems to be a bit more actively liked by everybody, you know? Like, it seems like people are like, oh, I really dig Riley, where Catherine is like a ghost out there right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where you want to be in this first week of the game.
I completely agree. I think Catherine's playing a great game. No one's onto her. The only person that had any kind of drama with her was Ashley when she asked her about the shower incident early on. And then she nipped that in the bud real quick. Since then, perfect. Be a purple edit. Like, do not be on camera. You don't want to be seen or heard, because that's the best place to be early on in this game.
Yeah, and I look at what she's doing. I look at what Morgan's doing. I look at what Lauren's doing. And I think Morgan is a bit louder. I think she's somebody who is like having a bit more fun with it, for lack of a better term. And I think that people are finding themselves drawn to Lauren for whatever reason that may be. And I think that Lauren is kind of like in this state of like, damn, like all these people are talking to me and stuff, like, but I don't want to do that. So she's kind of trying to fight against all these people that want to work with her. And I don't even know if it's necessarily that she doesn't want to work with them, but more so that she's trying to do more of what Catherine's doing, which is like, I just want to blend in with the woodwork right now. And 100%. So it's interesting that they all kind of have their own unique struggles that they're going through. But those are definitely the three who I've been looking at. Like they seem to be where they are from my very layman perspective. But I want to transition a bit to the other side of the spectrum. Yes. Who are the people that you're like, what are you doing right now?
100% Jimmy, Keanu, and where is she at? Kelly. Okay. All three of those, and to an extent, Rachel, but I think Rachel's doing a better job because she's experienced with it. But I think Jimmy, the way he handled that and at the nomination ceremony, the veto ceremony, where he called out Keanu in front of the house. We have seen this happen so many times in Big Brother past. Week one, someone decides, I'm going to bring it up in front of the house. We saw it last season with Angela. We saw it, on pretty much at least every other season. Someone has called out someone week one or week two, and it never goes well for that person.
Yeah.
It never goes. Jimmy is playing way too hard. He is trying to manipulate people, influence their games, and doing everything to his benefit. When people start to put two and two together, like, this doesn't benefit me. This benefits Jimmy. Like, obviously, I see what he's trying to do. Like, for him to go to the HOH, and I was watching on the live feeds, he was pushing Keanu hard to Vince. Like, hard.
Yeah.
And saying, basically, Vince has no option. He should put him up. Like, Vince is an idiot if he doesn't put Keanu up. He could get Keanu out, no problem. And if he does anything else, it's going to ruin his game. Like, bro, step back. Like, let the HOH, just as week one, let the HOH do his thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And so, the HOH position, to go just a little zoomed out for a second here, seems to be like a very complex position to be in.
Yes.
Because it's like, you can be like the warlord of the house for however long you're the HOH, and you can say, this is what's happening and this is what I'm doing and blah, 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 blah. Or you can kind of take input from everybody and let that inform your decision. And it seems like some people like to try and take this worm tongue approach where it's like, I'm not the HOH, but I'm going to try to get the HOH to do what I want to do. Yeah. And to the point that you just made, it seems like a very silly thing to do early on, because then it's like, okay, well, anytime anybody's the HOH, they're going to be looking over their shoulder for when you sneak up behind them. And it was like, this is who you should nominate. And if you don't do this, then you're making a big mistake. And it's like, I don't like, I feel like there's no way to have the clout to be able to confidently do that, or at least efficiently do that in the first round of somebody getting voted out. And also, I just feel like it's okay, dude, like you don't even have to be the HOH to throw out nominations in week 1. Like clearly you're playing harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what, from your perspective, what do you think Jimmy had to gain from doing that Keanu call out at the veto ceremony? Like what was it, just to get screen time? Like, well, where does that come from?
I think it's a mixture of multiple things. I think he is a fan and he wants to be remembered. So by doing that, of course, you're going to be remembered, but it doesn't really help the longevity of your game, because then people know you're a loose trigger and you're someone that can really, well, what if I tell you something and you go and call someone out in front of everyone and then bring me up as being a part of it? Like I can't relay information to you, and you're the one who will easily call people out as soon as it happens. Like, you have to stay cool, calm, collected. And the thing is, I understand what he's doing. I think it really is for screen time more than anything, but I think he's also got a false sense of confidence in this house, right?
Yeah, that he has like the clout to be able to go out and call somebody out like that, and like everybody will fall on.
Yeah. And I think that his problem is he's not really picking up on the fact that, one, people are onto it, even his closest allies. Like, Vince toyed with putting him up on the block. Now, I know it wasn't really that serious, and the show probably made it seem closer than it was. But for him to even question that when he's one of your tightest allies and in an actual alliance with you, that's not good. And that's your own ally thinking about that. Like, imagine when someone gets in power, like a Keanu, or someone that doesn't like you, then you're really screwed. Like, now you already have an enemy, you have a target. He might also be thinking that it benefits him in the fact that, okay, well, people know my intentions and know who my target is, so they won't want to come after me because they know I'm after this specific person. But that can backfire badly, especially when you're causing a scene.
Yeah, and like that's like the ultimate form of Russian roulette, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna spin this barrel and pull the trigger on the guy I'm going after. In this case, it's Keanu. But it's like, you also don't know who else is working with Keanu. And you don't know how many people's toes you stepped on when you did that. Because it's like, okay, obviously the public name is going to be Keanu, but you have no idea who else will be upset if Keanu is in hot water. Who else will be upset if Keanu's out of the game? So while obviously you've made an enemy in Keanu, you could have made numerous hidden enemies by doing that. And so, it kind of goes back to your point where you're like, he must just think that he has all this confidence that like the vast majority of people on this cast are on his side and are trying to move forward with what his plans are, which is just like, if you're right, you're right. But the odds that you're not are so high that it seems so silly to me. It just seems like so silly. And I get the, desire for screen time, by all means, like, go for it. But I look at a player like Jimmy, and it strikes me as somebody who, and I could be very wrong about this, but it strikes me as somebody who is like playing like they're on the show, if that makes sense. Like they're not playing the game, they're playing the show. And I'm trying to think of like a better way to describe it, but I think you get what I mean, that like they're thinking in the context of like, this is an episode of Big Brother that I'm on right now. What would happen at this point in the episode that I would want my character to do? Have this big blow up moment in front of everybody. But if you're playing the game, it's like, to hell with the cameras. Like, what's best for my game right now? And you see the same thing on Survivor with people who, and I've talked about this on Gabe's Big Move, which you can watch every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. right here on the Reality After Show. But I see this on Survivor a lot too, where there are these people who clearly like just watch the show, and they never really thought about like how the game is different than the show. And those kinds of people make these huge, big, bombastic moves, and they make alliances with everybody, and they're trying to backstab everybody. And it's like, okay, like, I know that's what it looks like these people are doing on the show when you watch 90 minutes every week, But in reality, the game that's happening 24 hours a day for 26 days are people like taking hours, if not days off of like doing anything crazy like that. And Jimmy strikes me as somebody who's like thinking about it as if he was watching from the couch and not actually being in the house.
1000%.
And I'm curious to see, how that's going to work out for him. And again, maybe that's somebody who you want to keep around. If you're somebody else in the house, if you're like a Catherine type, if you're a Lauren type, maybe you want to keep him around. Let this dude keep doing crazy stuff. And every round that he's here is another round that I have somebody that everybody will be okay voting out. So, maybe there's a deep Jimmy run that people aren't seeing quite yet.
I also think that when we've seen it from the greats, and honestly, this transcends even to Survivor gameplay, where when you're trying to get a target of yours on the block or out of the game, your best way of approaching the HOH with this conversation is to explain to the HOH how them being on the block benefits the HOH, not how it benefits you. Just how does this move make it a better game move for the HOH and what they're trying to do? If you can sell them on the fact that they think they are now in a better position game-wise by getting your initial target out, then that's the way you approach this. Not going in and basically trying to be like, this is what you should do and nothing else is smart. No, you need to go and be like, Gabe, listen, Rachel's over here. She's talking a lot of smack. She's been doing all this big stuff in the house. Do you think it really benefits you to let her continue in this game? Like for your game, like having this loud person, constantly bringing our names up, like, what do you think of her game wise? And is it someone that you can actually work with? Or do you think that she's only going to hinder your game? Because me personally, I think she can hinder my game. And I think she could do that to you. What do you think? And let them approach the conversation. I know that's just an example, but like, that's how you do it. You don't force your hand. You give reasons to why it benefits them or their alliance.
Yeah. And that's just like, that's life, like it obviously applies here to Big Brother, but just generally in life, if you want somebody to do something for your benefit, you have to convince them that it's for their benefit as well. And, in the best cases that it's more to their benefit than it is to your benefit. And like, think about like in your workplace, if somebody came up to you and was like, we need to move the meeting to Friday because I have to do a lunch on Thursday. And it's like, well, hold on, Thursday works the best for me. So like, I'm sorry, dude, this is your problem. But if you're like, hey, I know you're working on that big project, wouldn't it be nice to have an extra day to clear it up before we do the meeting? Maybe we move it to Friday and you can clear up your project by Thursday. Like, wouldn't that be pretty good for you? And I feel like we're, these social strategy games like Survivor and Big Brother like are zoomed in microcosms of that. But right now Jimmy is coming in and saying, I can't do Thursday, we need to move the meeting to Friday, and if you don't, then it's going to be your ass on the line. And it's like, all right, dude, like go take that to everybody else in the office and tell me how it works. I'm curious your opinion of the other side of this, budding rivalry. What are you making of Keanu's game? You mentioned him earlier as somebody whose game you're not really a big fan of right now. Why not?
So Keanu's just doing a lot, like on the feeds and everything. Keanu is trying to form alliances with everyone, and you don't really see it as much on the show, but what you see on the live feeds is Keanu is basically going up to people and trying to work with every single person in the house or try to form an alliance with everyone in the house. And it's getting back to other people that, hey, did Keanu talk to you too? Did Keanu talk to you too? Yeah. And that's the problem, is he's trying to do too much. Also, you can kind of see it in the episode, I think last episode with Ava, where he's just constantly like in her space, right? Like he's constantly trying to be an attention seeker at times, it feels
so.
Like,
is this something that you're seeing on the feeds as well?
Yes, it's something you're seeing on the feeds quite a bit, and people are talking about it in conversations quite a bit also. The problem is, Boston Rob put this perfectly. You don't want to, how did he say it? Where it's not what I think I am, it's what I think you think I am.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to be socially aware to what you're coming across as to someone else, right? So it's not what I think is right or how I think I'm coming across. If I am not socially aware enough to understand how that person's taking me, then that's my bad. Then I'm not playing a good game, or not just a normal life, not being smart enough socially for that situation. I don't think he's socially aware enough to how he's coming across.
I would agree with that. And I think that part of what I'm seeing with Keanu is like a bit of cope, like of just like how I'm coping with this really weird, uncomfortable situation of doing something like playing Big Brother. Like, and everybody has their way that they deal with that. You know, some people like hide and some people don't talk and they close themselves off and, they kind of go in the corner and they're like, nobody look at me, nobody talk to me. And some people overexpose themselves. And, it kind of becomes this game of like, the only way I feel comfortable is if I'm constantly around people, if I'm constantly talking to people, if I'm never really left alone, because if I'm left alone, then I have to think about how comfortable I am doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
But if I'm constantly stimulated and I have people to talk to and I'm in the room and I can watch other people do stuff, like that makes me feel more comfortable. And Keanu kind of strikes me as one of those guys who's doing that right now, where he's like, I don't want to be left alone. And he has his couple of people now. And the one that we saw on last week's episode, I think, maybe it was this week's, but I think it was last week's, was Ava, as you mentioned. And so I think Ava is somebody who's kind of allowed that to happen in her space. And now Keanu has this understanding of like, anytime I get uncomfortable or I just need to like relax a bit, I know I can go find Ava and she'll entertain me and she'll talk to me and she'll yap back to me. But to your point, he doesn't understand the burden that is to Ava. And it sounds like what you're saying on the live feeds, that we're seeing that happen with multiple different players. Hey there.
Sorry, say hi, Penelope. Sorry, mommy's at work, so I got my kid in the background and I'm doing this at the same time.
Oh, all good.
Thank you, Penelope.
Hero.
No, but it's 100% true. And socially, there are just people that are not very inept to maybe how they're coming across. Maybe it's not intentional. It's not like they're thinking that they're being annoying. They're thinking that this person likes to be around them and are just not picking up on the cues that maybe this person needs a little space, right?
Yeah.
And to an extent, it's over dramatized when it comes to Big Brother, because everyone's going to act nice to your face, right? So even Ava is acting like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, I'm happy to see you all of a sudden. So it's not the real world where Ava could be like, listen, bro, I love you, but I need some space right now. She's not going to do that because that could hinder her game. So it's not all on him, but also at the same time, you just have to be aware of how you're coming across.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be able to know that. And the fact that you're already doing it shows that you're a lost cause. That like if you don't know it, but because if you realize that, you're not going to do it in the first place. The only way that you would do it in the first place is if you don't have that level of social awareness to begin with. So I don't, unless somebody were to have that direct conversation with them, which I think is unlikely, I don't see that problem solving itself.
I don't either.
And like, that is a much different kind of nuisance than what Jimmy is, right?
Yes.
Jimmy could be a useful nuisance where it's like, he's taking up a lot of air in the room. He's somebody who's playing really hard and establishing himself as this big, heavy-hitting player. No pun intended for the alliance I got for him, the heavy hitters. But he's somebody who's establishing himself as this big, active player, right? And that's somebody who could be a very useful nuisance to keep around because he's a great shield. He's somebody that people will always want to get rid of. But he doesn't seem, at least from what I'm seeing when I watch the show and from the bit of live stream that I've seen, that he doesn't seem like he's like a bad hang.
Yeah.
He seems like everybody kind of gets along with him fine when he's not running around trying to burn the house down with strategy.
Yeah.
Where Keanu seems like he's not the best hang. And that is somebody that is not very useful to keep around because it makes your experience more difficult. It makes your experience more uncomfortable. And like, that again transcends these shows. It's the same thing on Survivor where it's like, hey, if you're cool to just chill and like talk to for, 10 hours and then you have 1 or 2 hours where you're running around like a madman taking up screen time and, calling people out and whatever, like I'm cool with that. I want to keep that person around as long as I can. But if you have 10 hours and you're annoying for the full 10 hours and then you also try and burn the house down with strategy for an hour of that, I like that people just at their core, people can't deal with that kind of person. And so I don't think Keanu is long for this game, at least as things stand right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think someone else that I brought up that is also socially not really picking up on cues either is Kelly. Like we saw it in this episode where Kelly's saying things that she might find funny or maybe she's just messing around. But people are like, bro, that's not a good game move. Like this is someone that I can't really work with because they're running their mouth and saying things that are, you know, off the wall or things that are detrimental to my game. And that's something that, you know, that would be my biggest fear in the house is like trying to just not think about game for a second and just make a joke because and say something that maybe came across as like, you know, saying too much. Like that would be my biggest fear going to the house. I'm sure that's a big fear on any of these reality shows that you're not really talking game, but outwardly you're in the middle of the game and it rubs people the wrong way. So where in the real world, it might've just been someone could laugh it off. Here, it's a whole different ball game because everyone's got like eyes in the back of their head being like, who's looking at me? Who's talking about me? And when you're mentioning people's names or alliances or anything like that, it's red flag city in this game.
Yeah. And you know, even if it's not legitimate or like, even if if someone's like, why did you say that? Like we saw Keanu say tonight. And I think that was very honest and legitimate. People can use that against you. You know, where it's like, even if they understand you were just joking around, you know, it didn't mean anything, they can take it to people and act as if it was more serious than it actually is, you know? So whatever it was tonight where Kelly was like, oh, you guys are in an alliance or whatever. And then Keanu's like, why did you do that? Even if Keanu was like, she was just joking around, like, who cares? He could go to somebody and pretend to be taking it really seriously and be like, what the hell was that? She said that we were in an alliance. Like, well, I don't know where that came from. And so it's like, you can't afford to lay down landmines around yourself. Yeah. And I feel like Kelly is doing a lot of that right now, where it's like, she's like, you know, through whether it's her being too jokey and not understanding, you know, how much weight her words carry when it comes to gameplay, or if it's just trying to play really hard, which we've seen her coming out the gate. You know, she even said in tonight's episode where she was like, I wanted to be different. I wanted to do something different, you know, and it was like, that is not the mindset that you should be coming into this game with. You should be saving that, like you said, until you get deeper into the game, until you get to that jury phase. And being different actually matters more. Like right now, it doesn't matter a whole lot to be different. What matters is surviving. And she came out to excite it.
Is there anyone else in this game that's giving you good or bad vibes one way or the other?
I am really into Will right now.
Really?
I think that he is like in that Catherine boat where he's being like totally purpled right now in the edit. He's not ruffling any feathers. I saw this one clip from the live feeds where he was like, I'm in an alliance with everybody right now, and I don't know what's going on. Like, but in like a good way, you know, where he was like, I can't believe it. And I think that he's somebody that a lot of people are approaching and are being like, hey, Will, like, I want to work with you. And he's kind of in this place where it's like, yeah, like, hey, everybody wants to work with me. You can work with me, but I'm not coming up to anybody being like, I want to work with you. So his game is very camouflaged right now. And he seems to also on a social level be somebody that's getting along with everybody. So it's like, I think that Will and Catherine are kind of in the two best positions in the game right now through 1 week.
I personally like Will. I think the problem is we see this year in and year out, being the older person in a cast like this, regardless male or female. I feel like it's an uphill battle. I really do. Yeah. And I mean, we see it on Survivor too, but I feel like even on Survivor, older, you know, I guess you would say older in the game sense, not older in real life, but just older for the game. Sure. People tend to do better on Survivor than they do in Big Brother. Big Brother, for whatever reason, even though you would think that it would be the opposite, like why wouldn't you want someone that you think that maybe you have a leg up on the competitions, or that you know, someone that is maybe more loyal because they are older, you know, like that is something that I would think would be beneficial. And I think we could see it with Rachel, where she's, you know, going with Amy, who's not old by any means, but she's one of the older ones in the house, and she's a mom, and like she has that connection. You should be picking these people up because, one, I think that it's really beneficial, and I really don't know if Will has those true ties like I would hope he would. Like, for instance, with Catherine and Lauren, like they're undercover, but they're young, beautiful women. and they seem to have at least good relationships with everyone in the cast. I'm not saying Will doesn't, but when it's all about who you can connect with, right? And are you going to connect with, other people your age, or are you going to connect with the older person in the house? And he's got to really work overtime to build those connections. And I'm not saying he hasn't. It worries me long term.
Well, so I agree with that in the sense that where he's at now might not be where he's at deeper into the game.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's at a great place to survive these early rounds. But I think as you get deeper into this game, the relationships that you have matter more the deeper you go into the game. And that seems like an obvious statement on its face, but it's like having no relationships is kind of a good way to get through the early stages, because like no one's really thinking about you. It's like, oh, Will's there. Like that's a vote I can use to get out who I actually want to get out, because having relationships cuts both ways. Just as many good relationships as you can have, you can also have bad relationships with people. And if you don't have, you might not have any good relationships, which obviously isn't great for its own reasons, but also having no bad relationships is a good way to be somebody that isn't targeted. I don't see Will being targeted very much, but I don't think that the best players in this game, or who will emerge as the best players in this game, are really thinking too much about like, who do I want to be with at the end, and once those conversations start is when it becomes disadvantageous to be where Will is, because no one's thinking about you to go home right now, but I also don't think anyone's going to be thinking about you to sit at the end with. And it's like that's kind of the space he finds himself in, where he's kind of in this gray zone of like, I don't really have a number one ally. I don't really have anybody that's my best friend out here, but I also don't have any bad blood with anybody. So it's like, this works for right now. Will it work in a month, in 6 weeks? We'll see.
And you're one of the outliers, because you famously worked with the 37-year-old Sue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 22-year-old Sue.
Yeah, 22-year-old Sue. But yeah, you worked with the person in your cast who was probably on the older side, and you probably knew that. What drew you to Sue? Was it the fact that she was older, and you thought that maybe she was someone you could maybe manipulate more, maybe work with, or maybe someone you think you could beat in competitions because they're older than you? Like, what was your motivation?
I thought that whoever the oldest person on the cast is going to feel like an outcast off rip for all the reasons that you just described, talking about Will and just generally older players in Big Brother. And that will be the person who will have the most imposter syndrome. That will be the person that will be the most desperate to find belonging. And if I can give that to this person, not only give it to him, but give it to him right away and quash all of those anxieties and insecurities that they have coming into this game on day one, they will be indebted to me forever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it worked out. I mean, you can watch the show. Sue's the only person who never wrote my name down, who didn't vote me out when I ended up going home. Says all the time that like, I was her out and out number one more than anybody. And so like, that was my reasoning for it. Yeah. And, again, I think it worked out great. And if you're like an older person, it's like, damn, like, and Sue's a good looking lady, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it's like, damn, like there are all these young, hot people here, and they're all cool, and, they're all hip on the show and everything. And like, I'm kind of this grandma, and I don't, I'm trying to find my place. Like, I don't have any sexual tension with anybody out here. Like, I know nobody's looking at me as like, oh, I want to work with her because she's hot or whatever. Like, and I know that all these young people are going to be able to bond over things, apart from like a potential showmance or anything, which is a real thing. It's just a human thing, about just like being young people. And they all watch TV shows that I don't watch. They all listen to musical artists that I don't listen to. And like all of those anxieties bubble up before you ever step foot in sand. Like when you're going through casting, you're thinking about that. When you find out you're going to be on the show, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be there. Oh my God, who the hell am I going to be playing with? I hope there's another older person out there. And then for our tribe specifically, it was all young people. Like TK was the oldest, the second oldest person at like 31. Him and Kyle were both 31.
Jesus,
and then it was Stu, who was 59. And so like as soon as I saw that, I was like, she is probably freaking the fuck out right now of like all these young, good looking people are here. and I'm going to be the old lady outcast. And my two options are going to be Mother Goose or to go home first. Yeah. And I knew if I walked up to Sue right away and was like, look, out of everybody, I want to work with you. I want to work with you more than anybody here. If you want to find a home, it's with me. And because of that, she was like, oh, not only am I not the outcast, I'm in the inner circle. Yeah. And this guy brought me in, and I never thought that would happen. Like, I can't take this guy out because he's the only reason that I have a foothold in this game in those early days. And so that was my perspective for it. And like, somebody should do the same thing with Will.
That's 100%. Yeah.
You know, somebody should do the same thing with Will. Somebody should look at this guy and be like, hey, he's kind of the old dude here. You know, like, I'm sure he's probably trying to figure out where his place is and all this. And the two moms kind of seem to be doing their own thing that he's not really a part of. Like, it's not a parents alliance. It's a mom's alliance that Amy and Rachel seem to have. And like, if I was in that house right now, I'd be going up to Will. I'd be like, look, brother, let all these young people make googly eyes at each other and wonder about how many Instagram followers they're going to have at the end of this. You and me can run this shit to the end because nobody's going to think that you and me are working together. And I would love to see someone go make that move. And I'm sure Will would love it even more than I would.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. And I think that's how you should play it, especially with someone that is older. And if you're young, or even if you're just in an alliance, bringing them in, they're going to be so loyal to you because they've got the fear of God in them that they're going to be one of the first ones out because of their age, or because people think that they can't work with them because are they going to be really competition threats? Like that is 100% how it needs to be played. And I'm glad to hear that that's what your mindset was on Survivor. Now, we've gone 50 minutes into this. Let's just at least a little bit talk about the eviction episode tonight. So first off, what were your thoughts on, this is your first ever, what was it? What do they call it now? The breakdown, or what the competition? Blockbuster. Thank you. I was totally blanking on that because last year it was AI Arena. So I got AI Arena on the brain. This is only the second year they've ever had this competition, right? So it used to be after veto, we were down to 2, sometimes 3 house guests on the block, and then the house would just vote after the veto competition. Who, like on this Thursday episode, would just be only a veto. Last season, they gave us AI Arena, which is exactly this competition where it makes Thursday night's eviction episode much more interesting because now you don't know who's going home. You don't know who's going to be remaining on the block, right? Because someone's going to get to take themselves down. Who could it be? And what do we do in each given scenario? I love it. I think it's the best twist that they've had since the veto became a thing. I think that I'm glad they're keeping this as something that they're going to do every year now. What were your thoughts on the competition? And give me what you're thinking is your first time watching.
So it seems like the issue and why they introduced this to the game was because, and I'm saying this to be affirmed if I understand what's happening, is that people would get nominated, but it was very obvious who was the most desired person to go home. And so you would have these people be nominated, but everybody kind of knew who they were voting for and who they weren't voting for. And you would get these massive votes dumped on one person that it was almost like we don't even need the nominations to happen because we all know the one person we want to go home. And the other person that gets nominated is somebody who's not even really in the running to go home. And so they introduce this new twist, the AI Arena, now the blockbuster, so that person who has been identified by everybody as the most desired person to go home has a way to wiggle out of the hot seat. And then the house is forced with a tough decision of needing to pick between two people that they don't really want to see either of them go home. That's the point, right?
Yes, correct. And I will say that there has been many times where you might have an idea of who's going home coming into Thursday night's episode, and then shit just goes crazy, or like it's twists happen, or people all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm going to switch sides right now, or someone gets in their ear at the last second. There is a lot of that, but there's a lot of times where the veto will be done by Sunday evening, watching the live feeds, right? Yeah. And we already know for the next 4 days pretty much who the target is and who's likely to go home. Yeah. So it makes the rest of the week kind of boring, where people are already talking about next week and not about the current week they're on. Now, like I said, there's times it's been great, and we've had seasons where it's great, but this allows it to be where now these people have to think of at least 6 different outcomes, 5 different outcomes, whatever it may be, of who are the potential 2 people sitting there and how are they going to play each one of these circumstances where they're not just focusing on next week. They still do think about that, but now they have to be like, well, if Kelly comes down, which one of the 2 are going home between Zay and Amy? Like, who are we going to vote out? So that's what I think it makes it more interesting.
And what do you make of Zay going home tonight?
Another thing is it essentially gets rid of the back door. Like, there's no back door anymore, and that's because everyone has a chance to save themselves, even the person that could be the renom. I think Zay going home, Zay going home is great for the women in this house, right?
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see bits and pieces of a women's alliance, even though there's nothing really set in stone from what I've seen. Now, I've taken about 2 days off the feed, so that could have changed. Yeah. But from what I know, or what I'm seeing on tonight's episode, it looks like there could be a women's alliance in the making, with Riley kind of being a part of that, because they want to target these big alpha males. And I think that, they have Jimmy on their side too, that wants to get rid of the alpha males. So it's looking like, as much as we say that, women's alliances don't work on Big Brother, they never have, never will, they could potentially be doing something in that direction, even though it's not direct yet, it's indirectly there.
Yeah. And I'm seeing like the foundation of that being laid. And you have to finish the foundation before you can start building on top of it. Yeah. But I can see them trying to do it. So that's kind of the story of the season through 1 week for me, is like, will this majority women's alliance that's being formed actually be able to stick together? And if it can, like you said, the outcome of tonight's eviction was huge. So huge to be able to do that. The swing of getting Zay out versus Amy going out is like, it changes the entire trajectory of what the game could be.
What's great too is this tonight's episode, when they finish that competition and everyone's having their side conversation. That's another thing that is great about the Blockbuster, is then people have these side conversations that we get to see. It's like watching the live feeds while watching it on the actual episode. That's what makes great TV, because they're all trying to game in the last few seconds. And for a minute there, I didn't think Rachel had the numbers. We saw Adrian telling her that he couldn't be a part of it. Will telling her that, hey, listen, I can't do this. Like, I made my loyalty. And then all of a sudden it still happens. Like, no one had a better episode tonight than Rachel, outside of maybe Amy.
Oh, for sure. No, totally agree. Yeah. I mean, because that was her kind of on the line tonight. Yeah. If everybody voted out Amy, it would have been a message to Rachel that, hey, we're coming after you. And if we can disarm you tonight, we're going to do that in an effort to make it easier to get you out of this game in the future. And they opted to not do that. By far the biggest winner of this week is Rachel. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah. Outside of Amy surviving, to that extent. But like, really, now who's going to really come for Rachel? Like, Zay was the one clear, like, oh, I'm going after Rachel. But Rachel has now worked with the women in this house. She still has her alliance that she built with the HOH and the others that is still like hanging by a thread, but it's there. Yeah. The heavy hitters. And then she's got Amy, who's indebted to her for basically putting her game on the line and having Zay call Rachel out in front of everyone. Amy's like, I'm all in with you. Like, you are my girl. Like, I'm indebted to you. So who's coming after Zach? Like, Vince, maybe? Like, and Vince can't even play HOH this week. That's another thing, is once you've won HOH, you can't play the following week.
And it's clear, like, if you go, like, the message has been sent, go after Rachel at your own risk. Yeah. If you want to be someone that's going to go after Rachel, you might be the person going home. Yeah. And the one person who was the loudest about it was the first person sent home. So it's like, now, like, that's a clear message that's out there that if you come at Rachel, you better not miss. Because if you miss, you're going to be the one that grenade blows up on. So it's like, it's quite interesting to see, there's a lot of different ways that it can go right now. And I'm very intrigued to see the rest of it.
Another thing I want to bring up on this episode that I don't know if you caught it or not, with Big Brother being live on Thursday nights, it's a live airing. Like, I've been there multiple times to an actual airing of the show, and it is a well-oiled machine, but at times the show production can get in the way of itself a little bit.
Yeah. You can hear Julie Chen. What's the vote right now? 5-1, 5-1. Oh, okay, 5-1. It's like, come on, turn the mic.
a lot of times Julie's on the receiving end of mic issues or things going wrong on the live show. So I'm glad you got to get a taste of that, because it seems to happen every season, at least in some small way. We've had much bigger ways than that, but it's always fun to see that, because that just shows people this is a live show. This isn't something that, is not, it's fluid. Like it's going, and I've been there and I've been a part of it and I've seen it, and it's crazy the amount of production they have for this show. And to see this, it's just so different than Survivor.
It's radically different, but it's got its own magic to it. And I think that's
cool. So given your first week, you've now seen how the format is, how the show really, handles itself, while also seeing, the drama, the silliness and all that. What are your expectations for the season, and what is your overall outlook on your first week watching Big Brother?
I think that Rachel Riley, as the returnee, is running the game right now, and we already kind of laid out why, so I won't rehash it. I think she's running the game right now, and I think everybody who's playing a good game is one of the women. Like I think that if I was doing like a power rankings for the first week of BB27, like it would, the top of the list would be dominated by the women right now. I'm not really seeing a lot from any of the guys that's particularly inspiring. I did some glazing for Will because I think he's kind of a ghost right now, which is a good place to be for these early rounds. But like the ladies are dominating, and I'm curious to see if there's going to be any shakeup in that. And if you're one of the ladies, I don't know why you would really want to do that. So I'm quite intrigued. I could do without the corniness of the editing and the production. I think the confessionals are kind of whack as well, to be honest with you.
You have no idea.
I think the confessionals are like hard to get through. But the thing I'm the most excited for is to get deeper into like the live feed culture. That seems really cool. That seems really unique. And I think for people who are diehard fans of the show, the consistent opinion seems to be that that's where the magic really is.
It is.
So I want to get deeper into that. That I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly say watch the live feeds. That's where you get to get the real conversations and really understand how people are actually thinking about the game. Because the show sometimes, they do sometimes do a good job of explaining the week, but there's a lot of times where they are showing something completely different than what we're seeing on the actual feed.
Where do you normally watch them?
So I watch them just like on Paramount Plus. They used to have After Dark. I don't think After Dark's a thing anymore, where it'd be on Showtime, and it was like 3 hours a night from like midnight to 2 a.m. or something like that. And I used to get home from work, turn on After Dark on my TV, have a couple of beers, and just sit there and watch. Because really late night, I feel, is like when the best gameplay comes out.
Sure, because that makes sense too.
People are asleep, so people feel like they can talk more. They can go up to the HOH room and get a little more free with their conversations. And then some people just can't sleep because they're constantly thinking about the game. So that's all they want to do is talk while other people are sleeping. So that's personally where I find the most entertainment, is usually late night, and it's when I can because my kid's asleep and I'm off work. But I definitely think that I think it's only Paramount Plus now that you can watch it. I think that's how they have it set up. But it's so good. It's so good. And there's sometimes you see some like the craziest fights. Sometimes you see just the people going off the rails and like maybe overplaying, or just who knows? Like there's just so many ways the live feeds are better than the actual show, especially with the corniness of the confessionals. Like
you can
people being fed lines and stuff. Like I don't know how it is on Survivor, but it feels more off the cuff on Survivor. On Big Brother, it's like they definitely feed them what to say.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. And I think that's just because their producers aren't as good at their job. Like that's honestly what I think it is. I think that the producers on Survivor are like the best in the world, and they know how, even if they are feeding a line to somebody, to kind of like make people think that it was their idea to say it. Where Big Brother, I would have no doubt in my mind that they are saying like, I need you to say that Zay is who you want to go home tonight. Zay is who I want to go home tonight. All right, cool. Get out of here. We're done.
Yes, 100%.
But it's fun, dude. And being able to recap it, like, makes the understanding of it all so much better. So I was very, very happy when you asked me to do this. I think it's going to be a fun season doing this.
I'm so stoked to have you, man. One thing I will say about the live feed too, before we get out of here, I hate that they don't allow the rewind feature anymore. Like, unless I'm missing it, I haven't found the ability to rewind, because sometimes you'll miss the best part of the day when, Angela from last season goes off on, I'm blanking on his name, but she goes off on this guy on the live feeds. Everyone's going to watch it. Everyone's talking about it. You could rewind and go back on the live feeds and see that part in real time.
Yeah.
And now I think it's just, you can only watch the live stream, whatever's happening there. I hate that they took that away, and they took away the chat rooms too. You used to be able to chat with people while watching the show, so you could go and just sit there and have like a group conversation that you go in the same chat room. Like, there's like 30 of them. You can go in the same group one and have the same people you see every single day in there. And some of great friendships have come from those little chat rooms, and you're just watching the feeds together and being like, can you believe he said this? Go to this channel or this room and check this out. And it's the fact that they took that away and the rewind feature really are frustrating to me. Unless I'm missing it, someone tell me, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, right.
But those are two features I really wish they would bring back, because as much as it could be toxic at time in the community, I do think that there was a lot of good in that community as well.
We'll start a petition. Chat rooms and rewind. Bring it back.
Bring it back.
And make it happen, baby.
All right, Gabe. We will be back, guys, next week following the eviction, the East Coast airing, to talk about the week, just like we did tonight. Check out Gabe's Big Move every Tuesday night here on Reality After Show. Gabe, what time do you usually go live for that?
7:15 for Gabe's Big Move every Tuesday night, right here on the Reality After Show, or you can check it out on my Twitter page. I go live over there at Gabe Ortiz. Follow me on Instagram as well at Gabe Ortiz. Don't go live over there though, just on Twitter and right here on the Reality After Show, talking Survivor philosophy, man. It's, everybody's got a recap show. Everybody's got their preview show for the upcoming season. And I'm going to do a little bit of that as we get closer to season 49. But I am really happy about the stuff I get to talk about. It's all philosophy. It's all just like, the episode that I did this week was talking about the power of confessionals in Survivor. And just what that means and how confessionals have evolved over the course of the lifespan of Survivor. So like, if there's kind of big, more philosophical questions about Survivor or something that interests you, Gabe's Big Move is the show for you. So 7:15 p.m. every Tuesday night. Come check us out.
Hell yeah. And guys, check out our Destination X coverage right here on Reality After Show. Johnny and I break that down every single week. We're down to the final four. It's getting pretty crazy. So if you haven't checked that out, we did a podcast yesterday. So go check that out, and our interview with the latest voted out person. Yes, I guess not voted out, eliminated contestant on Destination X. So please go watch that. And I think I'm probably blanking on other stuff, but we're got to get out of here. So guys, just give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we will see you next week. All right, guys, have a good one.